The lunge walk is a dynamic stretch exercise. As you can see, the athlete actively moves through a desired range of motion to prepare the muscles for activity. The athlete begins with both feet together. The athlete takes an exaggerated step forward, keeping the lead foot flat on the ground, while the knee is stacked directly over top of it. The trailing leg has a slight bend in it, and the ideal position is to have the knee that trails on an inch or two above the ground while the foot is pointed downward. You can instruct the athlete to keep their chest up and sit back on the trail leg to keep the torso perpendicular to the ground. The challenge is to maintain one's balance evenly when in the lunge position. Once in that position, the athlete drives his or her lead foot into the ground, which extends the hip and knee. Simultaneously, the athlete brings the trail leg next to the lead leg in a standing position. Once erect, alternate with the other leg to lead, and the exercise continues for either a specified distance or a number of repetitions. The Romanian deadlift, also known as the RDL, is a multi-joint lower body resistance exercise, and it is great for targeting the primary muscles of the posterior chain. The hands completely wrap the bar with a closed, pronated grip, palms facing the body. They can be placed just outside the knees or wider depending on one's anthropometrics. If wider, a snatch grip is advised, which is about 2 grip placements wider. If the bar starts on the floor, use proper deadlift technique to lift it off the ground. A neutral spine, feet shoulder width apart, and hips and shoulders rising together, etc. Once the bar is up, the knees unlock into a slightly flexed position. The movement starts with a rigid torso, neutral spine, shoulders retracted, and knees slightly bent. Once that is accomplished, flex the hips so that they move backwards, and keep the bar in contact with the legs. That includes the thighs and shins. Continue to push the hips backwards until the torso is parallel to the floor. The torso, spine, and shoulder positioning from the beginning must be maintained throughout the descent and rise. To rise back to the start position, extend the hips and try to keep the knees relaxed or slightly bent. Remember, the bar is always in contact with the body. The seated row is a multi-joint upper body exercise. As you see here, it is done with a low pulley machine. The athlete sits on a seat pad or the floor depending on what is available, while their feet are placed on flat angled foot supports. The athlete grabs the handles with a closed grip, and as in this video, the grip is neutral, palms facing toward one another. Depending on the handles available, it can also be done with a pronated grip. The athlete sits straight up so the torso is perpendicular to the floor. If the back rounds or the person leans back to pull the cable, the exercise is not being executed safely nor effectively. Notice that the legs look identical to one another, parallel and slightly flexed at the knee. All repetitions begin with the chest up and arms extended. Everything besides the arms are stationary, while the handles are pulled all the way in until they touch the abdomen. And it is important that the handles are never aggressively brought back or let go of. Allow the elbows to slowly extend back to where they started from. When finished with the exercise, flex the knees and hips to return the handles. This is a great pulling exercise that I have found it to be an excellent way to superset pressing exercises. Push-pull supersets are an efficient way of keeping separate or opposing muscles from fatiguing too quickly while not having to make the athlete completely rest in a workout. When performing a power clean, the bar is placed about an inch away from the shins, feet shoulder width apart, hands just outside the knees with a pronated grip, and in a squatted position. The back is neutral or flat, chest held up and out, head in line with the vertebral column, shoulders over or slightly in front of the bar, and the eyes are focused forward or slightly out in front. For a stronger grip, you can utilize the hook grip. Notice that the middle finger and the index finger wrap the thumb as the hand comes around the bar, and the other fingers follow. The hook grip is a little bit funky to get used to at first, but it is effective. It'll allow you to handle just a little bit more weight. To successfully pull the bar off the ground, the torso must remain facing the floor with a neutral spine. The elbows should be extended, facing out, and watch as the hips and shoulders rise together. It is crucial that you never let the hips rise before the shoulders. Use your legs to drive into the ground and gradually lift the bar. Don't try to yank it. Watch as this bar path is straight up and down. It allows the bar to land directly on the clavicles. The movement is controlled until the bar rises just above the knee. When that happens, you rapidly bring the hips forward and shrug the shoulders. That action will optimize the pull and allow for an efficient bar path. To maximize the speed and height generated, the hips, knees, and ankles must be fully extended, which is known as triple extension, like in running form. One way to drop the bar is to point the elbows downward, allowing the bar to slide down the body, but you must be careful not to crush your thighs. Take time to set yourself up for this exercise. The start is crucial. Things like shoulders over the bar, foot placement, and the distance of the bar from the legs are very, very important. As the bar rises, do not break the arms early. Allow them to stay locked out until the shoulders shrug up to the ears. Once there, flex the elbows to pull yourself under the bar for the catch. The arms should be parallel to the floor and the body in a quarter squat, with a nearly erect torso. The feet must be flat for a proficient catch. Once under control, the athlete can stand up. Take note that the arms are used to guide the bar. Get to triple extension, rapidly drop, and you'll find yourself in a position to shelf the bar. Once you stand up, simultaneously step away from the bar as it drops, but only do this with bumper plates. Otherwise, the plates can break. Two barriers are needed to utilize the front barrier hop exercise, either track hurdles or cones. Facing the barrier, the athlete stands shoulder width apart with a slight bend in the knees. And to help generate force, both arms will participate in a counter movement swing. They swing backwards right before the athlete begins to jump. To clear the barrier, the athlete must jump vertically and horizontally, bringing the hips up and the knees up together over the barrier without any lateral deviation. As soon as the athlete lands the first time, they immediately perform the same task. As they approach the final landing after the second hop, they want to finish in a near quarter squat, similar to the position that they started in. And if you want to increase the intensity of the exercise, you can use taller barriers or perform it with a single leg approach. The A-skip exercise emphasizes proper running mechanics. To provide more force, it is needed to drive the hip and knee up during a run, which allows more force to strike the ground. This will help propel the athlete forward. Start by lifting one leg into a bent knee position where the foot is around the opposing knee height. The toes are up and the heel is under the buttocks. To skip, the lifted knee is driven down to strike the ground with a slight dorsiflexion. You should see near triple extension just like in the power clean exercise. When striking the ground, the foot should land under the hip. These active pushdowns in a skipping motion will propel the athlete forward in a horizontal displacement. Notice that the tall posture and relaxed shoulder moving at the same time as the legs happens throughout the exercise.